There he is.
What's happening, man?
What's up, dude?
How we doing?
Uh, Doing great. How are you guys?
Oh man,
Doing all right. Happy to finally have you on here.
it's
Yeah,
exciting to have you
glad to
on.
be
I feel
here.
like we have a celebrity on. I don't know if we're worthy of this.
Oh,
A little bit.
please. Oh, please.
How have you
I
been,
I
man?
do it.
How's your leg? I know
Uh,
you jacked it up pretty bad.
yes, yes. Well, first of all, I do appreciate the invite. Yes. So the leg is um, no longer in pieces. I have
That's good.
two plates and about a dozen screws, and I'm about 2.5 weeks post-op. So the stitches and sutures are out, and the wound is healing nicely. Swelling is way down. So I'm in a boot, which is way better than a cast. So I get to take it off and
Yeah.
move my foot around a little bit. But yeah, man. So I'm feeling good. Obviously, I'm getting around via scooter and crutches.
Right.
Um, but long term, it's looking like I'll be non-weight bearing for at least another 2 months.
Oh, damn. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what I figured.
yeah,
Crazy. Yeah, I've never. I can, knock on wood. I've never had an injury like that. So it always sucks to see it happen to other people too, especially seeing as that's part of your job is to like be able to move around. But at the same time, it allows you to be more creative.
yeah, for sure. And nothing sparks your passion for training quite like an injury or otherwise being cooped up. So
Right. Yeah.
when I am back on my feet, I'm going to be after it with a vengeance.
Dude, I feel like you're gonna be like Batman in Dark Knight Rises after he gets his back fixed up, ready to take on Bane for round two.
Pretty
That's the
much.
goal. That's the inspiration for sure.
Definitely.
Yeah. So we actually just got a text that the other person who was supposed to join us can't make it. So DeMarco, if you want to just kick it right off.
All right, so it's just us. Awesome. We want to thank everybody for being on. This is episode number 3 of Deadlifts, Dogs, and Dad Jokes, and we're super excited. Going to talk about some fitness stuff, have some fun, and just again not get too serious. I feel like we should definitely have fun, give the people what they want, good content, but have a good time doing it. We don't need to be drill sergeants. So without further ado, here is Zack Henderson. So somebody I've wanted on the show for a long time. You were at Sean and I have talked about this for almost a year now. When we first started this show, you were one of the first
Yeah.
that popped up. We were we definitely wanted you on. Love your content. Love the stuff you're about. I love your very down to earth approach to life and lifting. You're not the one to rip the shirt off and take the bathroom selfie and talk about how amazing you are and trying to sell these BS products. So thank you for being in our eyes at least one of the good ones in the industry.
Well, I appreciate that, man. That means a lot. So I guess that means I'll be keeping my shirt on for this call. So
Yeah,
I'm glad we're on the same page there.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
man. But I appreciate the invite. So thank you so much for having me.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
man. No, we're super pumped to have you here. And I know we had just talked about your leg injury. I think you're right. You brought up a great point, Zach. Injuries are one thing, and then obviously the isolation that we have all been experiencing for just over a year now, right? With COVID-19, the pandemic, the shutdowns. The one thing I will say though is that in a good way, one good positive to come out of it is we've had to become very creative, very innovative with workouts. I've seen some of the really cool stuff that you've come up with. The kettlebell has become even more of a popular training tool as a result of everything, which is great. More people are getting into that minimalist style of training, kettlebell, some body weight stuff, and I think that's really exciting. From a business standpoint, people have really become innovative as well and been able to provide goods and services to folks in creative ways. So I think that's one of many examples of how, as humans, we're adaptive, and there's nothing we can't overcome as a society. So
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's funny. I just wrote this in an email to my list the other week. I think we're kind of right after I broke the leg, but
mhm.
my Instagram post on January 1st, said something to the effect of challenges are what prod us into new areas of growth. Challenges are what give us new perspective.
Yeah.
And I quoted something to the effect of, you know, we as humans in today's day and age, we have the privilege of, for the most part, choosing our own challenges. And that's kind of what we're up to with training, is we're voluntarily taking on challenge in order to grow, in order to progress in any sort of way. And so a lot of challenges we get to choose consciously, and a lot of challenges we do not get to choose. So this broken leg being a prime example of that. So yeah, I'm just trying to alchemize that into, you know, like I was saying, something that's going to, in the long term, be an asset, not a liability.
Yeah, absolutely. Just based off of that, like I'm sure there had to have been for at least a split second going through your head where you maybe had the opposite thought, but that's just like initial shock or whatever. But afterwards, it's like, all right, how can I roll with this and you know, use it to the best of my ability? And you know, it's obviously the creativity aspect comes into it, where it's like, okay, what can I do? Obviously, I know my limitations. What can I do so I can still keep moving and set myself up well for when I'm, you know, back 100%. But it's also for the benefit of your clients, you know, whether it's an ankle injury or the whole leg or even an arm. It's like just allowing yourself to have more in your arsenal for when a client may go through something very similar, you know. So it's that silver lining, maybe after the initial shock of what just happened to you, that you know, you have to look at in a more positive light. And you know, I assume that's exactly what you're doing at the moment.
Yeah
man, I think as coaches we have to lead with empathy. And you know, when you go through your own trials and tribulations, that forces you to flex that empathy muscle, so to speak. So that's the idea.
No, absolutely. And it was, again, just perfect timing honestly, Zach, when, again, we were in the thick of things with the COVID-19 shutdowns and, you know, very, very scary time, business-wise, family and everything was, there was a lot up in the air, a lot of fear, a lot of uncertainty. It's funny, right around that kind of that peak time where I was feeling really unsettled, anxious, and honestly depressed too, because as coaches, most of us tend to be pretty social people, pretty outgoing. We like people, you know, most of us at least. But right around that time, you know, I was just kind of feeling lost, really didn't know what to do. And then you just started posting some really, really cool stuff that really resonated with me. You sent out the emails to guide people on how to start their own email newsletter and some things that you've learned as far as how to start business. And it's that was great. It really kind of got me up off of my ass and helped me get my butt in gear a little bit to get so that we could start doing some of our email newsletter work with our subscribers as well. And is talking about leading with empathy. You were helping us. You were teaching us how to do something we didn't know how to do, helping us improve upon our current processes. And you weren't overly salesy about it, right? A lot of professionals will just bombard you with daily emails of, hey, check out my program. Hey, check out my program. Hey, check out my program. Click buy now, you know, and very much a transactional state of mind versus you're definitely into the give marketing, which is 1000% what our philosophy is as well. Obviously we're in an economic world. You have to make money. It's important, but nothing trumps relationships and taking care of people. So lead with empathy. I think that's his mic drop moment. So.
Yeah, man. Well, you know, when I asked about if there's any talking points that you wanted to go over for today, one of the things that you mentioned was like my overall coaching philosophy.
Yeah.
And it's pretty simple, but leading with empathy, I think is the guiding principle, because I think the more you can, I was talking with my buddy Andy about this the other day too, so hopefully I can kind of remember most of the talking points. But basically, I think one of the foundational concepts that makes for a great coaching relationship is when you as the expert and authority can walk a mile in your client's shoes.
Yes.
So that you can empathize with them, so you can, as best you can, we'll never be able to do this 100% because it's just impossible, but as best you can get into another person's mindset, get into their experience, understand their perspectives, while bringing your expertise and your authority along the way. It's fundamentally different from just losing yourself in someone else's problems. A lot of people do that. That's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about walking a mile in somebody's shoes while bringing what you have to offer to the table. And when you have both of those sides of the coin, completely retaining, you know, each side of the relationship and respecting each side of the relationship, that is where the coaching dynamic really turns into something special.
Damn. Yeah, that's man, Zach, that's great stuff. I think that's amazing. I couldn't agree more. I think that's very true. I think leading with empathy and, again, walking a mile in their shoes. It's really funny now. I have a daughter, baby girl. She's 8 weeks old, and over the last 2 months, I have very, very quickly learned the challenges that parents face in regards to getting the workouts in, eating healthy, doing the things that we're supposed to be doing for, to take care of our mental and physical health. And I remember talking to parents and just telling them, like, no, it's all good. Just take an hour out of your day and just work out, do your squats, do your deadlifts, do your kettlebell swings, do this, and eat anywhere from 3 to 6 or whatever meals a day, and get your 8+ hours of sleep, and it'll be fine. You'll reach your goals. And now I have a kid, and life is way more chaotic than it's ever been. And I'm laughing at 23-year-old DeMarco that was telling his clients this, telling them basically just basically tough it out. You can do better. And I'm like, damn, I would love to talk to some of them now and come full circle with this conversation, because it's tough. And when you can experience that, again, there's growth, like you said, right? With struggle and with challenges that we face, we can grow and become better. So,
yeah, man, I think that you could say that one of the downfalls, or kind of one of the kind of one of the weak points maybe of the fitness industry, is that it appears, to me at least, to be so dominated by 21 to 24-year-old voices.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Young bucks, young guys and gals who don't have a lot of life responsibilities, who have hormones on their side, who have time on their side. And oftentimes those are the folks who are driving a lot of the narrative, a lot of the health and wellness narrative, that we see on social media, if we're just addressing the elephant in the room. And, it is what it is. But, a lot of times we see, like, coaches, personal trainers often don't last more than a couple of years in this industry. And that's a shame, because the older you get, the more life experience you have, the more coaching experience you have, the better coach you're going to be.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yep.
And I think having a kid is probably the most obvious example of that.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. Like, it's hopefully within the next couple of years, I will have my own kid, and I'll be able to, because I totally understand what DeMarco's talking about, of course, but like it's different. You don't actually know until you know, which is, when you actually have the kid. But and then to go off of your point earlier, that's unfortunately, it's just the flashy, like young bucks, like you said, and whatnot, and not to say that there's not some good in there, like they. A young kid who may be in the industry for longer, they can definitely help people to a degree, but it's like, otherwise it's they're trying to push products. Like if they're, I don't know, let's just say a Gymshark ambassador or something like that. It's like, that's all they're in it for. And like, whereas other pages like yourself, decent following, I would say, 20,000+ people, I think, that you have.
I appreciate that mistake for what it is. I'm just over 10,000, but
Oh, wow.
I'll say this, man. Look, not to go off on a tangent, I got a bigger kick personally out of getting my 1,000th follower than I did out of my 10,000th. Because really, man, when it comes down to brass tacks, 100 people is a lot of people.
Oh, yeah.
1,000 people is a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
And at a certain point, I mean, obviously it scales from there. And I'm so grateful for anybody who tunes in and listens to anything that I say. But yeah, I mean, at a certain point, like you realize 10, 20, 50 people is a lot of people. And when you can like really internalize that, any numbers like past that are great, but it doesn't necessarily, it doesn't scale, I think, in the way that a lot of people think it does, like mentally. So
Right.
so that's just what I want to say there. And that's kind of why I try not to think about speaking to 10,000 people. I try to just think about speaking to one or two people, because I mean, honestly, that's how communication really happens. So even if I put something out and let's say it goes viral and 1 million people see it, communication really still happens one-on-one. So it's still just landing with one person at a time. So that's kind of my, I suppose, if I have any thoughts around like the growing or the building of an audience, I think that's one of the principles I think that's also important to keep in mind.
For sure, yeah, because kind of the overall point I was trying to reach in a sort of roundabout way was, it's not like, kind of like DeMarco mentioned earlier, it's nice to see pages like yours still like obviously off-site thriving, like with now 10,000+. Maybe you'll wake up tomorrow, it'll be 20, who knows? But that's my point.
Hey, with your deadlifts, dogs, and dad jokes bump, I very much expect to have my viral moment and double overnight. So I'll hold you to it.
Hopefully, yeah. But like, again, I suppose another side point would be it's not one bad apple spoils the bunch in terms of like, obviously the bigger pages, the 1 million+ followers that are only in it for like pushing certain products. And if that's what they're doing, it is what it is. But like when it comes down to actual fitness content and like just not throwing up a workout or like, oh, look how good I look doing this exercise or whatever. Again, those are probably the mainstream, definitely the bulk of everything in terms of like trainers on social media. But it's nice to see pages like what I would like our page to turn into at some point, and then your page, and just a bunch of other pages of like actual trainers who are in it for the right reason, in my opinion. So we're not as big as the other people, but it's I think we matter more, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, I mean, you guys are doing it right. I mean, I think you guys leading with something like the podcast is these days really the only way to do it, because those who are banking on their looks, their viral moments, peddling products, like you said, hey, not my place to judge. But the ironic thing is that style of trying to build an audience or building influence is like building castles in the sand.
Yeah.
Like you're going to get washed away and you're not differentiating yourself in any valuable way. So really I think doing it, I guess I should say that this is another conversation that I was having with Andy, is that a lot of trainers sell themselves short by just relying on the aesthetic, by just relying on the discount code in the bio link, because someone's always going to be better looking than you. And someone else is also going to have the 15% discount in the bio link.
Yep.
So what's the point? of operating in that manner, because someone's just gonna, you're essentially replaceable unless you're bringing something else to your audience. You are replaceable, and that sounds harsh, but it's up to you as a content creator, as a coach, as a trainer, as a business owner, whatever you want to call yourself. It's up to you to take that kind of harder line, that more long-term approach, and say, I'm going to lead with something deeper than my looks and deeper than a discount code, because that's the only way you're going to hack it for more than, the cliche, 6 to 18 months in this business.
Yeah, no, that's all great points, Zach. I think that's great stuff. I, being a movie guy, I'm always relating. That's one of my one superpowers. I can relate real life experiences to a movie. You just mentioned being replaceable. That kind of reminded me of the lunacy of the movie Zoolander. Derek Zoolander's like, he's hot stuff. He's on top of the world. He's in all the commercials and everything. And then who shows up? Hansel shows up. You know what I mean? And it's, I don't want to spoil the movie, but you get the idea, and it just kind of shows you how ridiculous that game can be, and how very one-dimensional it is. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. Yeah. And again, not to harp on the point, but that's why I encourage everybody in the space to build your own products, write your own ebooks, start your own podcast, start your own YouTube channel, create your own ecosystem that you build yourself. Because we all have value to bring to the marketplace, unique value, just by being unique individual people. And if you're not taking it upon yourself to, in some way package that and put that out, whether that's for free or for fee, then you're just wasting everybody's time. Mm-hmm. And you're doing yourself a disservice, and you're doing your audience a disservice if you're not taking those extra steps to just give us something that only you can give. And that's not the path to, overnight success.
Yeah.
But again, just kind of relating it back to giving you guys kudos, leading with something that is long form, that is totally you, that you have going here on this podcast. You're providing more value to the marketplace with one, hour-long podcast than dozens of selfies or, other, aesthetic-based posts that don't tell anybody your story, that don't give anybody fresh perspective. So in any case, I'll stop my rant there, but that's just something that's been on my mind a lot, is just, what are we doing out here?
Yeah. No, and I love that, Zach. And first off, I'm going to thank you for saying those really kind words. I leaned on your example. I leaned on the really awesome stuff that Holly and Aaron are doing. A lot of great coaches, a lot of whom have actually been on the show. And I think you really hit on it when you said, what are we doing out here? What's the point? What's the purpose? What's the purpose?
There it is.
Seriously, what's the deeper reason why? And for me, again, being 30, almost 31, I'm a dad now. Fitness to me is it's more important than just taking the shirt off and having abs in the mirror. Obviously, we want to look good. Anyone that says they don't want to look good is just not being very honest with you. I would say for the majority of most folks. However, I think that one thing that we're all doing as a movement in a lot of ways is we're almost not totally rejecting, but we're definitely rejecting a lot of the norms and the overemphasis of the physicality of fitness. That's one thing that I think is again, it gets you the likes on Instagram, the shirtless selfie, the person turning around, taking the phone back here, it did arms today. Here's a picture of my butt, like, cool. Thank you. That's great content. Thank you so much. That adds a lot to the space. But I think what's even more important is the philosophy of fitness and strength, the mental aspect of it. Sean and I have both opened up on this show, and we've talked about how fitness was a main driver for us coping with anxiety and depression, how it's tremendously enhanced our quality of life, mental health, and our ability to, be better partners, be better just people, better humans in general. So I think that's one thing that I would definitely love to do for us coaches that care about this is to kind of push the overemphasis on physicality aside, and let's really emphasize the deeper reason why. Why the hell are we doing all this?
Yeah.
100%. Yeah, 100%, man.
Yeah. So you guys good with switching gears, or is there any other comments? Yeah. All right. Just because this has been on the top of my mind when I was trying to figure out what to talk to you about. So are there any like projects that kind of took like a back seat because of your injury? And I'm sure you got to those at some point, if so. And other than like your like the workouts you've been doing, like I saw you sitting in the chair the other day doing the presses. What else are you filling your time with in terms of like trying to build a business, seeing as you probably have more time on your hands than you maybe ever have, So like, what kind of stuff you got going on?
Yeah, man. Great question. So I guess I'm lucky in many ways. Let me just express my gratitude for a few things. One is, at least I didn't break my head.
Yeah,
I can get away with a broken leg. I don't know if I could get away with a broken noggin. So first of all, I'm lucky that there was no head injury, spinal injury. It's my tib fib. It's not my knee, and it's not my ankle.
Yeah.
So if I had to break something, at least I just broke, the bones, and doc says that there's not going to be any joint issues. So long term, I'll be fine. So I just have to express my gratitude there. I have to express my gratitude to my friends who took care of me out on the slopes, and for getting me home, my family, for taking care of me, clients, you guys, everybody for your support. So I just want to say thank you so much already to everybody who has shown support and has helped me out in these times. So all that to say, not much has taken a back seat other than, I do have a handful of in-person clients that I work with in Nashville that for the time being, I'm at home in Virginia recovering for the next couple of weeks. So obviously they're all on ice. And that, that's really a bummer, because at least for those people that I work with in person, it's like high frequency. So like 90% of the time when they're working out, I'm in the room. You know what I mean? So,
yeah.
So a big part has just been like supporting those clients while I'm recovering for the next month. And then, because it's my right leg that got injured, and because I do in-home sessions, getting to their homes is going to be a little bit of a challenge. I'm going to probably rack up a little bit of an Uber bill, but that's fine. That's fine because, again, I'm lucky in the sense that I'm the kind of trainer. We have the type of relationship where I can sit on my scooter and I can, just by me being there, just by me offering my cues, do this, do that, that's all going to work out. So all that to say, the one big thing that has taken a backseat, that I am still actively working on, that I have people in Nashville to help me with, is starting up a in-person kettlebell club. So an outdoor weekend workout at the park, at the local park, that was going to be something that we were going to do in 2020. Pandemic happened.
Yeah.
We're planning it for 2021. The leg happened. So again, as the weather warms up, that's going to be a big priority. Something else that also got put on the back burner with 2020 that I hope I'm going to be able to do maybe in the late summer to early fall is put on my next in-person event in Nashville. So that might be a 2-day seminar, could be a 3-day seminar, not exactly sure. But again, that's kind of in the early stages. But apart from that, yeah, man, I'm just resting. I'm doing a lot of reading. I'm about halfway through The Rational Optimist, which I got as a recommendation at the from the back of the new Naval Ravikant's book. If you guys are familiar with Naval, what else am I reading? I tell you, I read The Obstacle is the Way many years ago, and that is, for obvious reasons, that is now on the short list for rereading. But yeah, man, like apart from that, I'm still doing a lot of writing, a lot of journaling. I'm, I got some YouTube videos in the works. I've got articles in the works. So I'm keeping myself busy for sure. But recovery is also a full-time job. So I'm also Netflixing and that kind of thing. So all that to say, I'm pretty good about keeping myself busy. And again, I'm very lucky in the sense that, a lot of my clientele are online. So as long as I can just kick back with a laptop and respond to email and update programs, the gears have continued to turn. And I get to do, fun stuff like this, like do podcasts. So I don't need to be up on 2 feet to do this. So that's definitely a plus.
Yeah. And it's important to stay busy too, especially for folks like us that we're very active. A lot of us tend to be hyper, we tend to be pretty wired, and we have to have something to channel all that restless energy, into. So that's obviously something that's really productive. That's something Sean and I really emphasized during the first shutdown, especially, was sitting down, getting really clear on what we wanted to do as far as the Instagram page, the business and everything. That's when we started the podcast. That's a lot of really great things. Yeah, stop making a with me. So, that was when we actually were able to have time to actually get clear on what we wanted to do and come up with some kind of a strategy. So just like you mentioned, The Obstacle is the Way. Great book, by the way. I think everybody should read that. Ryan Holiday is a phenomenal author. I love all of his stuff. But you can take that challenge and actually turn it into a positive and gain a lot from it.
Yeah. Well, and then also to touch a little bit on my training, which I think was maybe the second part of your question there. I am obviously doing a lot of upper body stuff.
Yeah.
Right now, my warm up is something like 100 reps of like band pull aparts, dislocates, circles. So I try to just get in like 100 reps of something on the band. Then I'll do like some gripper work. So I have like an Ironmind gripper.
Here we go.
Yeah. So, and this is all coming out in a YouTube video here soon as well. So I'll do some gripper work. I'll do some bent over rows, if I can get the angle just right, on my scooter and that kind of thing. Obviously doing a lot of overhead press, here at my folks' house. We just have one, I think it's a 40-pounder. So I'm doing like rep ladders of like seated military press. I'm also just doing like rack holds and scooting back and forth across the living room.
I love it.
Yeah, dude. Waiter hold back and forth across the living room. Suitcase hold back and forth across the living room. So I'm still working my loaded carries.
Oh yeah.
Just my loaded scootering actually. So yeah, man, just basic stuff like that. And then like your floor work, your bird dogs, your dead bugs, one leg push-ups, planks, stuff like that. So nothing out of the ordinary, nothing too crazy, but yeah, man, I can tell you, I can only imagine that my NEAT, has probably gone like, if all you're doing is sitting with your leg up all day, it can go down fast. So
big time.
Yeah. So I'm making it a point to obviously take it easy, 23 hours out of the day, I'm just lounging, but 45 minutes to an hour, I'm definitely up and about. And, again, it's one of these cliche things that we take for granted. Like you just don't realize the positive impact that your training can have until you find yourself kind of below your baseline of activity.
Yeah, that's, again, knock on wood, haven't had an issue like that before. I recently tweaked my back and got to get creative with, certain movements I could do. Like I couldn't really deep squat anymore. I was doing some like single leg deadlift work that didn't bother me, but it's just, it really brings out the best in you in terms of how to train yourself and then train your clients when and if that pops up. I expected as much. And then so with the scooter stuff, I wasn't expecting that, but like everything else you would mention, like I would expect someone, obviously of your knowledge and whatnot to be able to kind of just, I'll use the phrase again, roll with the punches and not lounge for those 24 hours. It's like, you're still doing stuff because you have to, otherwise you'll go insane. So. Yeah.
Yeah. And just maybe like one pro tip for anyone who finds themselves, desk bound or laid up for any kind of reason. Like we know that tension is like a big part of strength, right? So if it's not appropriate to be like lifting heavy weights, I've always leaned on the power of the gripper to train that ability to generate and control that tension. So that's what I've been doing a lot, is just closing that gripper and mimicking a press, mimicing a dip, and even closing and getting into some shoulder, extension there. Again, just giving the body that stimulus of having to tighten up under some sort of resistance and move while bracing. And if it's not appropriate to lift weights for any reason, the gripper is a great kind of hack to continue the training stimulus in a certain kind of way.
That's awesome. Yeah, I never thought about that. I remember I think gripper's been around for a long time too. It's obviously not a new training tool, but I remember laughing about it, thinking it was something kind of dumb and kind of some stupid fad that came in and out. And then funny enough, one of our great friends and coaches, Mike Conway, brought them to the gym one day and was using them. Was like, yeah, it's great for, grip strength, radiation, teaches you, how to really squeeze that white knuckle fist and generate that tension to make you stronger and more stable for lifts and movements and anti-movement. It's funny how that the old vintage stuff, we go through that cycle where it's really popular for a while, falls by the wayside. Then all of a sudden that stuff that was popular when our dads were working out to the videotapes and rocking the sand dumbbells, that stuff's now kind of coming back in vogue again. So it's funny how that cycle goes.
Yeah, man. Speaking of the old school stuff, I don't know if you guys have seen the Pec Stick.
Yeah.
The spring-loaded stick.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's something that I started using about 3 years ago and kind of fell in and out of it over the course of time. But over about the past year, I've been using it a lot more. And again, much like the gripper, think of it essentially as like a gripper for both of your arms instead of just for your grip.
Right.
So it's like the same thing that I say, like with the ab wheel. It's a one trick pony, but it's a pretty cool trick.
Yeah.
So yeah, like with a pec stick, I mean, all you can really do is just bend it, but like, bending it with a spring pointing up is different from bending it with a spring pointing down. So I'll do, just like pumps, I'll do closes and presses, halos, pullovers,
Oh, wow.
twists. You can use it to, you can use it as like a tool to practice like tension and irradiation in a lot of things. So you can just squeeze it, hold it, and do squats, do lunges, even do like hip hinges and whatnot. So so again, the gripper, the pec stick, those are two like decidedly like old school tools that, when you can come at it with the right like background and knowledge of strength training, they have great application.
That may be my newest Amazon order in about an hour or so.
Yeah, seriously. I want to get one now too. That's exciting.
Man, I recommend it.
That's awesome. Yeah. All right, Sean, we gotta put an order on Amazon. Get some Captains of Crush grippers, and we'll get one of the pec sticks. And it's funny. This is again, fitness it's an art, right? Strength and movement and fitness is an art. Like there's an art and a science, right? The science is the movement, the biomechanics, the joint angles, the vector angles, all that stuff. But the art is, how do you want to perform the task? How do you want to hip hinge? And I never even thought to use that pec stick for anything else other than just bending it and holding it. Doing a press, doing a halo. That's those are movement patterns that we never perform. So that variability of movement and those different movement patterns are going to strengthen you in other angles, other positions, and get you away from some of those repetitive patterns, right? And definitely make you more well-rounded. So that's I'm getting a pec stick. I'm sold. Are you? Do you have? Is there a discount code in your
bio? Is there
a bio?
I will admit, I do not have a discount code in my bio. However, I do have an article on my website where I list all of my recommended, pieces of equipment for building out your home gym. Awesome. And so if you're interested in the specific things that I use and I recommend my clients use, you can just check that out. It's on my website, zackhenderson.com/home-gym, I believe. But that's actually an interesting point, because yes, those are like Amazon affiliate links.
Yeah.
But even so, it's like what I'm doing is still trying to provide like context and value.
Yeah.
So kind of circling back to a little bit of the theme that we were talking about before, it's like you don't want to be like a corporate shill.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like you also want to build that trust and be able to provide like resources for people that you wholeheartedly back. So it's like I'm not gonna manufacture my own line of pec sticks, but I am gonna say like just like Google it. Like the first thing that comes up on Amazon is like the thing that I recommend.
Right.
So like, if you want to kick me 30 cents, you can go to my website. If not, just, probably what's more valuable to me is just seeing you do it on the internet and tagging me in your stories. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And from a relationship standpoint, what would you rather have? Well, let's say one of your clients or one of your followers comes up to you and says, "Hey, Zach, I'm interested in getting a kettlebell. What should I get?" If you just tell them Google a kettlebell, there's a whole heck of a lot of options out there, right? There's E-coat, there's powder coat, there's competition bells, there's those, I'm going to say it, there's those crappy neoprene ones that I just obviously, for many reasons, hate. For myself, again, we can be picky about that kind of stuff. But, if they want to know, like for myself, for instance, I've recommended people buying Indian clubs. I've really gotten into Indian club swinging from Phil Scarito, shout out to DV8 Fitness. People have asked me, where do I get Indian clubs? Like, oh, here, check this link out on Amazon. And then when someone mentioned affiliate links to me recently, I was like, damn, maybe I should just get the affiliate link. I mean, if I'm recommending it, you get kicked back a few cents. Nothing wrong with that. I mean, as coaches, we're consultants too. So there's certainly nothing wrong with that. So especially if it's because that's what they want us for. They want us to be the guide and to serve them. So.
Right. Yeah, man. And it's interesting. Again, it's funny because I've had some semblance of a lot of these conversations with my buddy Andy, who we have a little fledgling podcast ourselves, and we had a conversation about sponsor daddies, one of our first episodes, and like the difference is, I think like the line in the sand is like, I'm not going to recommend something that I don't know or that I don't have any sort of like equity or control over. So like supplements are the obvious example.
Yes.
It's like, I can't say for certain what's in this tub of whatever. And I'm not going to bullshit you and say that I know the science behind this vitamin and that proprietary blend and all this stuff, so, but I can tell you exactly how to use a Pec Stick or a kettlebell. Like I can tell you exactly like what it is, how to use it, and how it's going to benefit you. So I think that's kind of like the line that like people have to draw. And again, not to harp on like the downfall of a lot of like Instagram influencers and trainers. It's just like they have no ownership over what they're promoting in any sort of way. And again, that does everybody a disservice.
Absolutely.
So yeah.
I think that the word you just hit on, especially, is equity. I think that's a very key takeaway here. And you're exactly right. If you don't have some kind of skin in the game, it's very easy to go get a discount code. I can't tell you how many emails I can tell you, and obviously your following is much greater than ours. You've probably gotten even more of them, but all the emails of, oh, I'm an ambassador for so-and-so swimwear brand or this fitness thing or this waist trainer. If you become an ambassador, we'll give you a discount code and you'll get kickback on all the orders or whatever. And I've yet to get an email for a product that I actually use, So it's like, when I first started off in the industry, the wheels definitely, the wheels turn. You're like, man, I can score a few extra bucks. It'd be nice. I could do that. I could condense my schedule a little bit. Life would be a little bit easier, but at the end of the day, integrity is very important. Social capital and truly serving others. So I'm with you 1,000%, Zach. If it's a product that you use, you love, you're a huge advocate for it, then yes, be an affiliate marketer, get into that kind of stuff. But again, lead with empathy, and are you truly serving the person in front of you? So I think that's great stuff. Very good points.
Yeah, I had at least one more thing I wanted to circle back around and touch on that Zach briefly mentioned earlier. So I'll say this, and then DeMarco, you can say whatever you got. You had briefly talked about, and I wanted to ask you this anyways, like the in-person stuff, like the events. I assume you're talking about like the kind of thing you did with Tracy for that 2.5 hour YouTube video type thing. Like I was very much looking forward to that. Now, obviously, I watched it. Yeah. Great content, definitely content you could charge for, but you didn't. So like, is that kind of the stuff you're talking about getting back into when you can?
Yeah, man. Yeah. So I've been super lucky in the sense that I've gotten hired to do seminars for some local CrossFit gyms. And I just posted a few weeks ago about 7 hours worth of content from a 2-day seminar that I did with my buddy Ben Swartz at his gym up in Minneapolis.
Is that the Frost Fitness guy?
What's that?
The Frost Fitness?
Yes, his gym is called Frost Iron.
Frost Iron. I saw your interview with that. That guy's an interesting cat. They have a cool concept up there.
Yes, Ben Swartz. If you guys are looking for another podcast interview, Ben Ben's a really cool guy. He's got quite the story, and he's got quite the community and operation going on up there.
Good to know.
Yeah.
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 No, that's awesome.
So, yeah. So the, like, a few years ago, I put on a couple of seminars in Nashville called Liftapalooza, where we brought in some guest coaches to, obviously, kind of do workshops on their areas of expertise. So my kind of vision for like a seminar is something like, the main themes are like kettlebells, powerlifting, mobility, body weight training, something of like a more casual environment where there's a lot of hands-on learning and there's a lot of actual training that goes on.
Yeah.
And bringing in special guest coaches. So that's kind of the dynamic that I wish we had a little bit more of in the industry. I mean, granted, I'm sure if you're in like a major city, LA, New York, Chicago, I'm sure stuff like that happens all the time. In my neck of the woods, it seems kind of rare. So
yeah,
that's kind of my vision for the type of event that I would like to host. And you get to see a little bit of that in some of the longer form seminar videos that I've posted.
Yeah, I love that you're putting those on there, and obviously I hope that you continue to do that because, I guess, like we briefly touched on already, I feel like you just don't see that enough. It's refreshing.
Oh, I agree. Yeah. I think that's the true value of what we do as coaches and personal trainers. It's one thing, everybody loves posting the video of their PR, smash my deadlift or my bench press or whatever. And that stuff's fun. I love videos of people crushing heavy weights or doing really cool stuff because it fires me up to train and work even harder. I think that's great stuff. But I also love those long videos, Zach. I've actually watched a bunch of your channel. So if you get a big uptick in your watch time, it definitely came from Sean and I. Because I watched a bunch of your videos too. So, but again, you're leading with empathy. You're adding value. You're not just turning out product after product that's not truly adding value. And that was the main reason I wanted you on the show, because I think that our, as far as the important universal things go, I think our values certainly align in a lot of ways. I think we definitely have a lot in common. So,
absolutely.
Yeah, man, I appreciate that. Yeah, it's I think every in-person event, workshop, seminar, cert, whatever, is a special thing. You get people who may not know each other, coming from various different backgrounds, who are all there to kind of learn and have fun. And that's a really special thing. And I think there's a lot of learning that can and should be happening. There's a lot of networking that can and should be happening outside of the structured certification environment. And that's kind of like where I want to put my flag in the ground. And, also having those experiences, professionally shot, edited, and put out is a big investment in a lot of different ways, but it's also the type of like standard and legacy that I want to establish. I don't want anybody to have any excuse of, why they don't know how to swing a kettlebell.
Yeah.
Granted, there's no beating in-person experience, but I want to make sure that I can put out the highest quality instructional content that I possibly can. And I know that's just going to lead to other opportunities to continue to have those types of events in the future. So I realize that not everybody is game for watching 3 hours of, me teaching kettlebells and pull-ups and push-ups and that kind of thing. It's not for everybody. And I do try to break it up into different sections and make, other highlight type videos. That's where a lot of my Instagram content comes from. But the fact of the matter is that the content is there, and so many little special things only come out in those types of experiences. Like I couldn't sit down and sketch out and film the type of video that I could just by taking a clip out of a seminar. There's just a different mindset, a different approach, at least for me, that I'm in. And it's the same thing like in podcasts. Like I could sit down and try to write out some fancy quotes and come up with some fancy stuff to say, but I would much rather just hop on a Zoom call with my colleagues and just have a conversation and see what comes out of that type of natural give and take environment. And I think that's where the best content comes from, is just this live, in person, pinging off of each other type of dynamic.
Oh, I couldn't agree more, Zach. That's where I've gotten so many epiphanies, was at particularly in-person events. These Zoom ones as well. These Zoom podcasts and videos as well. Again, two words that you've hit on that I'm definitely gonna try to keep back here and let them churn. There's equity and legacy. I love those two words. I definitely things I've been thinking about. I'm definitely going to try to keep processing those and see where those go. But at my Strong First certifications, at the Indian Club cert with Phil and Pam, the DV8 kettlebell cert, I had some awesome epiphanies, and really those are where all of this came from. That's where Strength with Purpose came from. That's where the idea for the show, Deadlifts, Dogs, and Dad Jokes. One of my superstar clients, Marissa, shout out to Marissa. I mention her pretty much every week. She, in the last year and a half, almost 2 years, she's lost about 50 pounds of fat, built some muscle, and went from a 225 deadlift to a 305, and just like 305 for a single. So she's just a stud. 0 to 7.5 pull-ups, 0 to almost 30 push-ups. She's a beast. If we had to do this whole battle with Thanos over again with the Avengers, I would send Marissa first. She'd snatch the gauntlet off of him and beat him to death with it. But our Wednesdays happen to be our deadlift day. So we would deadlift, we'd work out in the garage. I bring my dog Nano, and I started joking that there was like deadlift day. It's like deadlift day. And it's like, oh, deadlifts and dad jokes day, where we'll just talk about some dad jokes and have some fun. And then it's like, oh, what if we call it Deadlifts, Dogs, and Dad Jokes Day? And it turns into a game. Like we send each other funny GIFs and just have fun with it. Then I thought, well, damn. Guy Fieri has diners, drive-ins, and dives. Then why can't we have our show with three different words? So that creativity
absolutely
flows through human interactions.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's really the true miracle of technology and the internet. It's like it can be used to divide and isolate people, or it can be used to bring people together. But you have to you just can't be complacent, which is kind of how I was finding myself a couple of years ago, just being so in your bubble. So that's why, the real miracle of technology, the real miracle of social media is finding people who are like-minded but different.
Yeah, exactly.
And having conversation and being able to network in these types of ways. It's the most important thing. It's the most important thing. Like if you're not using the internet, if you're not using your phone to make these types of connections and have like real conversations, then you're, I kind of hate to say it, but you're probably contributing more to the problem than you are the solution. So that's why stuff like this, podcasting, being the most obvious example, is it's just so important. Because again, I mean, even if nobody listened to it, it would still be worth doing.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I've taken away, I've gotten at least 3 or 4 great takeaways that Sean and I are actually going to talk about later. and definitely apply into our, not just business and marketing, all that fun stuff, but training, into life, into just how to do this whole life thing better. So Zack, I want to thank you so much for your time, brother. It was awesome having you on. I know Sean actually has a 12 o'clock Zoom session he's about to hop on, so I don't want to take up too much of your time. Where can people find you as far as the interwebs go? Where can they find you if they want to reach out to you, check out your programs, or talk to you or coach with you?
Well, first of all, guys, I heard that dad jokes is in the title, and I haven't heard a single dad joke.
Yeah.
Yes, I was hoping you'd say that because this guy has there it is.
my client Marissa, who again, she always gets the love on here. She actually gave me this as a Christmas gift.
Oh my gosh!
Watch with a bunch of so, we obviously have the dog Nanos in the background, and we talked indirectly about deadlifts, but here we go. What is a robot's favorite snack?
I don't know.
Computer chips.
There you go.
There we go.
Love it. All right. Yeah, I wasn't gonna let this call go without getting a dad joke yet. Okay, so yes, you can find me on Instagram, Zack Henderson _. That's ZACK Henderson, and also ZackHenderson.com, and YouTube, Zack Henderson podcast. Spotify or iTunes search the Zack Henderson podcast. So it's just my name, ZACK Henderson. You can't miss me.
Awesome. Good stuff. We'll link all that stuff below so people can find you. And I, for one, I'm going to check out the link in your bio, and I'm definitely going to get a Pec Stick because I'm sold on it. I'll use your Amazon affiliate link. I'll give you 30 extra cents in your revenue stream will come from us. So
fantastic.
So
yeah, man, I'll forward you some exercise videos that I made for some fun variations for you to try out.
That's awesome. Thank you, man.
Appreciate it.
Just in case no one was paying attention here, Zack indirectly sold me on a product, and he then continued the relationship and the communication by giving more value and more content and more context. So again, as far as new coaches entering the industry, don't just think about, scoring a few bucks off of people. Think about relationships. Think about what value can you give. And when it comes time to actually talk about buy it now, the price, that, it won't even be a factor because they'll be sold on what you do. Zack, thank you so much, brother. Appreciate your time.
Thanks, man.
Thank you, guys. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Yeah.
Yes.
Take care.
Well, take it
Peace.
easy.